An icy breeze swept through the great hall of the palace as a breathless messenger entered beneath the golden archway. He placed his helmet on the floor, knelt down, and spoke in a grave voice. "Your Majesty, Gaspier, Lord of Mirador, is dead." A heavy silence fell over the room. Vedras too remained motionless, his eyes fixed on the messenger. Then, with a slow gesture, he motioned for his two royal hounds to approach. From the throne, a servant brought a bone, precious but raw, a symbol of the royal hunt. Vedras had it placed in the center of the room. The two dogs immediately pounced, growling and fighting over the prey. The commotion became a living metaphor, a duel for power. Vedras watched for a moment, impassive, then turned to his close advisor. "You see, these quarrels are ancient. They have existed since men first claimed the crown, but they must be given a purpose." He then raised his voice to the assembly. "Gaspier has fallen. His son will take Mirador, but he will not be submissive. Like other lords of the south, he will seek his own path. I have foreseen this day." The murmurs intensified. Vedras smiled, measuring his words. "I announce the restoration of the way of Valamir, a road that will unite our cities, feed our peoples, and seal a common destiny. Those who rally to it will find glory and prosperity. Those who oppose it will isolate themselves." The hounds, still fighting over the bone, embodied the court itself. Conflicts, ambitions, and thirst for power. Vedras concluded, calm and confident. "Thus, instead of dividing us, the way of Valamir will bring us together. And if I succeed, my reign will be engraved in history." My name is Kaler. I'm a 25-year-old warrior. I live in the large village of Dagur, where my father is the chief. In the center of the square, a giant wooden horse stands proudly. My village is surrounded by a large palisade, but remains open to the Dolmar River on its southern bank. It has about 5,000 inhabitants, and it specializes in horse breeding and training, which is its main source of wealth. Its riders are renowned for being the best in the kingdom. However, we suffer from a bad reputation due to borrowing techniques from the nomadic Xerix riders, our eternal enemies. Like every day, I trained for combat with my friends and warriors from the village. Nothing suggested that this spring day would become a turning point, not only in my life, but also in the history of the kingdom. As I train with my friends, the sun beating down on my back, the sound of hooves grows closer. A lone rider, clad in worn leather armor, emerges through the trees lining the riverbank. Drenched in sweat and visibly shaken, the stranger urges his weary mount forward, ignoring the dusty training grounds and the curious stares of the villagers. He's clearly running from something or someone. His gaze shifts nervously northward, his breath coming in short gasps. Something is wrong. I immediately recognize his outfit. He's a royal messenger from the capital of Mistralir, southeast of here. They come every month to bring us the royal journal, but this time, he seems particularly nervous. Corver, Lysar, Tavner, and Eldar immediately interrupt their training. The messenger captures the attention of all the warriors in training. I raise my hand to pause before advancing towards the royal messenger. "Welcome to Dagwar. Messenger, I am Kaler, son of the village chief Favor. What is your name?" The messenger, still catching his breath, quickly dismounts. He swallows hard, his gaze shifting between you and the crowd gathered behind you. "HLO, Kaler, son of Chief Favor. I'm the messenger Erver, and I bring news from the capital." Ervit clears his throat, his hands trembling slightly as he clutches a rolled-up parchment. "Important news. Urgent news." He glances around, as if hesitant to speak openly. May I speak to your father, the chief?" "Of course," I reply. "You've already ridden 100 kilometers. Come have a good meal and a drink while we take care of your horse. Please, follow me. We'll take you to see my father." I turn to my friends. "Guys, keep practicing. I'll keep you posted." Erver nods gratefully, visibly relieved to be offered rest and refreshment. He walks beside me, occasionally glancing at the villagers and the giant wooden horse in the center of the square. As we approach the chieftain's residence, he hesitates, clutching the scroll tightly. The weight of his message seems to increase with every step. My friends exchange worried glances, but eventually nod and resume their training. Taverner murmurs, "I bet this is a problem." It's always the case with these royal messengers. Lysar gives him a warning look, as I entrust some villagers with the care of the messenger Ever's horse. I continue to lead him to my father's wooden farmhouse. I knock on the door and enter. My father Favor and my mother Miller are around the large table, plans spread out in front of them, immersed in a discussion with craftsmen about the jetty that our village must renovate on the Dolmar. Father, mother, pardon my intrusion, but the monthly messenger has arrived from Mistalir, the royal capital. He has an urgent message to deliver. On myself, I'm a little worried about the news the messenger has just brought, but I try not to let it show in front of our artisans. Chief Favor looks up from the planning table, his brow furrowed. He gestures for the artisans to leave with a brusque but kind gesture. "Ah, thank you, my friends. We will continue later." As the men file out, your mother, Miller, quickly sweeps the scattered papers away. Favor's gaze falls on Erver, his expression serious. "Well, messenger, what is this urgent matter?" Favor asks in a firm but welcoming tone. Erver swallows again, tightening his grip on the parchment. He seems reluctant to begin, his gaze flickering between the three of you. The air in the room thickens, impatience bubbling beneath the surface. As my father unrolls the parchment in front of my mother, I glance over his shoulder, which embarrasses him, and he gives me a gentle nudge to back away. But I've had time to read it. The Lord of Mirador, Gesper, has just died. He was the brother-in-law of our King Vedris. But there is more news. Our king is preparing a colossal project, one that no one would have imagined in the current state of affairs. He wants to rehabilitate the great mythical trade route of Valamir. This would allow us to connect our capital to the mountains that separate us from the central empire of the continent, the Kuderpak Empire. Your father's face darkens, his eyes carefully scrutinizing the parchment. Your mother gasps softly, covering her mouth with her hand. "By the gods," Favor murmurs in a troubled voice. Erver shifts uncomfortably, still standing. "Yes, sir. The king believes that reopening the way of Valamir will strengthen his claim to the throne and bring prosperity to the entire land." But he hesitates and glances at you. Your father senses his unease and gestures for him to continue. "There's more, isn't there, Erver?" Favor asks. "And that's not all. Chief Favor, the king has decided to send a delegation to renew ties with the empire. They are looking for volunteers, brave men and women willing to brave the dangers of the way of Valamir, to prepare the road before the main expedition, to clear the path, so to speak. It's a monumental undertaking, and the kingdom is counting on the best riders in Bouldam to participate." Erver's words trail off, heavy with innuendo. Your mother exchanges a worried look with my father. I speak, frowning, unable to hide my confusion. "You're telling us that the riders from our village will be sent to reconnoiter to restore this road?" I pause. I don't understand why now. We're already the border guards of the kingdom. We prevent any incursion from Zarek, and we already have trouble repelling them, because we can only rely on our own resources. And now our king wants to restore the legendary road to Valamir when it would be 10 times more difficult? Who is in charge of this project? The whole kingdom? A significant reward, of course. Erver stammers, staring into space. Land grants, tax exemptions, access to royal resources, perhaps even titles for those who prove themselves. But that's not all. King Vedris too speaks of restoring the kingdom's honor. He believes that completing the path of Valamir will restore it to its former glory of free trade and prosperity. He promises that together, you will forge a new era for Bouldam. But truth be told, Erver leans forward slightly, lowering his voice. Rumors circulate among the courtiers that the king seeks to use this endeavor to increase his power and consolidate his hold on the throne. Titles, rewards. Yes, if we succeed. But this task is daunting, and it's not at all certain that it will succeed, even with all the volunteers in the kingdom. And we understood that this was a political coup. Our king fears that the South will split, so he launches a great joint mission to unite everyone, hoping that it doesn't divide more than it unites. My insight earns me a slow nod from my father. Irver nods vigorously, visibly relieved that someone understands your deeper motives. Exactly, Kaler. You are incredibly wise. The king wants to preserve the integrity of the kingdom at all costs. And this grandiose project is his last attempt. But it's risky, and many are skeptical. Besides, the Southern Lords won't appreciate being recalled. They'll see it as an attempt to rein them in. Irver sighs, running a hand through his hair. And then there are the rumors of rival factions vying for control. Some say they'll do anything to get what they want. The kingdom is fragile, Kaler. Very fragile. I sit, preoccupied, still unsure whether this is a superb opportunity or a deadly danger. I pour myself a mug of beer and sit down on the wide wooden benches around the large table at the family farm. Father, Mother, what do you think of all this? My mother, Mueller, sits beside me, her fingers gently tapping the surface of the wood. She seems lost in thought, her brow furrowed. My father, Favor, sits across from you, elbows on the table, fingers interlaced. We are torn, my son, he admits. On the one hand, the potential rewards are considerable. Titles, land, influence. It could secure the future of our village. But, he pauses and shakes his head. But, your mother and I are concerned about the risks. The way of Valamir is no walk in the woods. It is perilous, even without adding the Xerix to the equation. And then there are the king's true intentions. Can we trust him to prioritize our safety? Or is he simply using us to serve his own ambitions? Your mother reaches out and gently places her hand on your arm. Kaler, your father and I need to know. What do you think? You are our best scout, our strategist. What does your instinct tell you? I take a moment to think, then look at my father and mother after taking a big gulp of beer. If our king really deploys considerable forces, it could work. But won't the effort be more costly than the benefits? Our kingdom isn't that rich, and the Southerners won't look kindly on it, those who dream of independence. As for us, on the one hand, I think we'll be on the front line, probably the riskiest position. On the other hand, as they say, first come, first served. Being the first to reach the entrance to the Echo Gorge and the Great Devourer's Mountains at the easternmost point of our kingdom would be very prestigious. And if the Valamir Road were to be rehabilitated, our village would certainly benefit. But at what cost? That is the question. We don't know yet. It will be difficult. The Xerix won't let us do it. My parents listen attentively, their faces reflecting the turmoil of their thoughts. My mother bites her lip, her eyes filled with concern. My father scratches his chin, looking serious. Pride and profit. It's true, he says in a low voice. But you're right, son. The cost, damn it, the cost. We can't afford to lose good men. What if the king's promises turn out to be empty? What if he abandons the project halfway through? Or worse, blames us for its failure? He leans back and rubs his temples. And the Southerners, they'll be watching us closely, looking for the slightest sign of weakness. We'll be walking a tightrope, Kaler. One false move, and, well, you understand. I speak up, my voice firm. Father, if I lead our horsemen on this perilous mission, I would like you to let me improvise according to our interests. This means that I would allow myself to serve my own interests first, depending on the circumstances of the moment. Because if there's one thing I'm certain of, it is that this mission is very dangerous. What is less certain is that the rewards will be commensurate with the effort expended. And, as I told the messenger, we have been despised for too long. It is time we took what is rightfully ours. I cannot say in advance what I will take, but I will take it. My words hang heavy in the air. Your father's eyes narrow, his gaze piercing. He understands exactly what you mean. Your mother, meanwhile, seems taken aback, her face pale. Favor's voice is calm, and he chooses each word carefully. Kaler, you are asking a lot. You are essentially saying that you will act outside the limits set by the king, and potentially outside the law. He pauses, watching you closely. You're growing up, my son, and it is clear that you have thought long and hard about all this. But understand that if you go down this path, there will be no turning back. Mueller reaches out and takes Favor's hand. Favor, should we? It's obvious that there will be no turning back, whatever we do. If we don't participate, the king will be very angry and we will pay the price. So, if we have to participate, ID rather the reward be worth the risk. I won't do anything stupid. They'll act according to the potential gain and the potential risk. My father nods solemnly. Very well, Kaler. I understand, he says finally. You are free to improvise, as long as you do so wisely. But my son, be careful, very careful. We cannot afford to antagonize the entire kingdom. Remember that we are still part of Bouldam, no matter what happens. My mother adds softly, and please be careful. Don't let your desire for recognition cloud your judgment. We can't lose you. I will be careful and as wise as possible. What should we do? Start gathering the best riders from the village and the surrounding area? We need to leave enough warriors here for protection. We're not exactly going to war in the literal sense of the word. Perhaps 60 would be enough. My father nods, a calculated glint in his eye. 60 then? That's a good number. We'll keep our village safe. And yes, gather the best riders. We'll need those who can stand up to the Xerix. Warn the neighboring villages too. Make sure only the most skilled and reliable riders join you. We'll need every advantage we can get. My mother tightens your father's hand, concern etched on her face. Just promise us one thing, Kaler. Promise me not to get too carried away with this. Remember who you are and where you come from. I reply, determined. Whatever happens, they'll try to return with more advantages than losses. They'll join my friends at the tavern. I must warn them. They'll send messages by pigeon later to inform the neighboring villages of the news. We'll also have to gather supplies to help rebuild the Valamir way. They'll leave that to you, father. You know our stock's best. We're coming out of winter. Our reserves are low. Do your best. My parents exchange a look, their faces resolute. My father nods, already mentally preparing the necessary supplies. Don't worry, my son. They'll make sure everything is in order. Just focus on gathering your team and spreading the word. And take care of yourself and your friends. My mother adds, be discreet, Kaler. We don't know who might be listening to us, even in our own village. Don't trust anyone outside our circle. For now, with their blessings, I'm free to head out. The sun is setting, casting a warm orange glow over the village, but the atmosphere remains tense. The fate of your village, and perhaps the entire kingdom, hangs precariously in the balance.